Kicking off our summer biannuals here in North Dallas. My name is Mario Zavala. I'm the Project Communications Manager for the Silver Line and all development projects at Dark. So I want to remind everybody that we are recording, so there's audio and video play, so I'm sure we're going to have questions and concerns as we kind of go through the program. We just ask everyone to be cordial, and we promise we'll answer your questions or concerns when we get to that portion. Does anyone need Spanish translation services? I see none, so we'll move forward. All right, as I said, I'm Mario Zavala, Project Communications Manager. I have a few folks from the Silver Line team here as well. They're going to come up during their portion of the presentation. We're basically going to, I'll go over the project overview. We'll cover some project milestones. Our friends from AWH will do construction updates. We'll do a vehicle testing update. I'm sure there's questions regarding that. Cover operating plan affairs, and then how you can stay connected with us as well. So, rules of engagement. Like I said, we'll go through the presentation. There's two sections. We're going to cover basically an overview and then construction. We'll open it up for questions specifically about the project and construction. Then we'll kind of go over testing, vehicle testing, and operations, and then we'll take questions at that portion for that. So when you have a question, just raise your hand. We got folks with microphones. They'll come out and hand them over to you. If you have a question but you don't want to speak out loud, we can give you a comment card, and then we can address that afterwards. I will say there are a couple slides in here regarding the hike and bike trail, so part of the Commonwealth Trail. We like to keep you informed of that because it is part of the Silver Line project, but they are two separate projects, so we have a lot of trail-specific questions. We have someone here that we can talk about that after the program is over. All right, so as I said, this is our first meeting for the summer, kicking it off here in Dallas. We will also have presentations in Addison, starting in July, Coppell, Richardson, Carrollton, and Plano, wrapping up there July 17th at the Arrington Library. So if you're not familiar with the Silver Line project, it is a 26-mile service alignment covering 7 cities, 3 counties. The big things I'll point out is this added 10 stations to our service system, and it is a big project for DART because it's our first project that isn't bringing people directly into downtown Dallas, so it's primarily moving east-west. You can see it moves from the Shallow Road station in Plano to the east, all the way to DFW Airport Terminal B. I will point out 3 areas there along the far left of your screen. You can see the 12th Street station and the City Line Bush station. Those will be connection points to the existing light rail service on the orange and the red line. As you keep going closer west, you'll see the green and the downtown Carrollton station. That'll be your connection point on the green line going into downtown Dallas. If you look a little bit further to the north, the green gets a little bit darker. That is a DCTA connection service that's Denton County Transit Authority. They will be having a connection point in downtown Carrollton, so you'll be able also to take that service into Louisville, Highland Village, and Denton. Moving further west, there at the very end with the double red line, that is a connection point at DFW Airport North, and that is your connection point to TexRail, which will run all the way to downtown Fort Worth. So just wanted to point those out there. How this applies to our service map in general, you can kind of see the red and the blue line to the east, where the green and the orange are a little bit to the west. Silver Line, you can see the tie-in over there with the polka dot. So this covers basically all our connection points to our light rail, as well as the connection to TexRail there at DFW Airport. And then in the navy blue, you have the TRA service that runs into downtown Fort Worth from downtown Dallas. So community benefits of the Silver Line. Obviously, we're providing access to DFW Airport and Plano in between the 6 cities. A lot of the comments that we've heard is obviously it's going to provide that east-west transfer. So hopefully we can get some people off of the key connection points being 635 and Beltline to open up some roadway, and as well provide that transit. Again, we're trying to address mobility and system sustainability, so this is providing connection points all over. The hike and bike trail system will also do the same. So once it's complete, you'll have basically a way to walk, jog, bike, if you will, all the way from Plano to downtown Fort Worth. Growth opportunities. So again, if you're not familiar or if you haven't been in the area for some time, DFW is rapidly growing. By 2030, we're anticipated to be the third largest metro area by population, surpassing Chicago. So the Silver Line will help us address a lot of that growth as well. It's also serving as an economic catalyst. So our research is telling us that currently, within a half mile of the corridor, basically anywhere along the trail line, or the trail alignment and the rail alignment, you have access to over 200,000 jobs or educational opportunities. Again, that's only going to grow as the area continues to grow. And you'll see too, if you're familiar with the project, that a lot of the stations either are at or near transit-aware development or have transit-aware development coming. Also, we're looking to provide regional connectivity, travel efficiency, and transit reliability. That's mainly specific for us because, again, that's why those connection points are key. So the Silver Line is going to give you additional access to different areas of the Metroplex through public transit. And then lastly, we're going to focus on having safe and secure spaces. And one of the big things that DART is focusing on is creating fantastic spaces. So we want these stations not just to be places where you're waiting to catch a train or your connection point to a bus. Like I said before, a lot of these areas are going to be connected to transit-aware development. So we're looking to create places where people can live, play, and work. As I mentioned, the Cottonmouth Regional Trail, it's part of the project, if you will. We're the stewards of this project, even though it's not a DART project. It's being managed directly by the North Central Texas Council of Governments. This is the trail alignment overall. Most of the trail will run adjacent to the track. There are sections where it kind of deviates, but for the most part, it does run alongside. And as we get through the construction portions, you'll be able to see pieces of that. Where it does deviate, it does have connection points to existing trails. So this is being constructed in 3 phases. Phase 1 is for the most part complete. We just cleared and we started work on phase 2. And then phase 3 of the trail is going to be constructed later with approval from the partner cities, which are further to the west, primarily from Coppell going to DFW Airport. And they're going to work to complete that once they secure additional funding, both from the city and the North Central Texas Council of Governments. So here in our area, the total trail length for Dallas is part of phase 2. It's 3.4 miles. With 1 pedestrian bridge. As I said, that pedestrian bridge is part of the infrastructure that was completed as phase 1. The trail boundaries are from Dallas, from the DNT to Waterview Drive, and the start date for the Dallas trails should be around, like I said, we started work next month, and we're looking to finish up around March 27th. For the McCamey Bridge, we've already started work there, and we're looking to finish up in February of 26. Few project milestones. So we are testing vehicles in all 7 cities. That means the train is running back and forth along the rail alignment. 100% of the guideway bridges are complete or completed. Guideway bridges are basically rail bridges. As I said, a lot of that was part of that phase 1 trail construction. 97% of sound or betterment walls are complete or completed. That's throughout the project. We are missing a couple areas here in Dallas along Bell Trail and along Waterview, but we are working through with the city of Dallas to get those installed and up. 100% of pedestrian bridges are complete and awaiting city approval. We've done some punch list walks. We're trying to complete a few ins and outs. And then once that's complete, those will be turned over to the city. 100% of at-grade rail crossings are complete. That means all the work is done at those grade crossings. Now, we do have some that might be a little bit rough. Once we wrap up the construction, we'll go back through, smooth those out so you have a better ride as you're coming across them. And then lastly, with this being, again, 26 miles across, we are double tracked, which means we run track east to west and west to east. We laid down 281,800 linear feet of track. When we put it into mileage, that's over 53 miles of track that we laid down over the course of the project. The stations themselves, pretty much every station is for the most part complete, outside of wrapping up some electrical, sound work on the platforms, and some installation of new ticket vending machines and tap cards. The ones that are not are the downtown Carrollton station. We're still finishing up some construction work there. And then the 12th Street aerial station in Plano, which is being built as part of the Silver Line, even though it will be part of the orange and red line light rail system. So we're wrapping up work there, but all of this should be ready to go by the time we open up for service later this year. All right, let me turn it over to Gordon from AWH and Nico, and they'll cover the areas regarding construction.
Hey everybody, my name is Nico Cantu with to Archer Western Herzog. Here's a picture of the UTD station area, Rutherford. This is not in Dallas, but we know there's a lot of residents in the area that are very interested in it. At the top of the page, you can see our parking lots mostly complete. We're finishing up some sidewalks in the area as you connect to Waterview, but the area is, for the most part, complete. And then here is a picture of the UTD station up close, the platform of the station. North Dallas, Coit, we've been making some pretty good progress there. We have just the southeastern corner of South Sugarcane and Coit left to do, which we're actively working on. We expect paving on Coit to be done by the end of August, but we'll still have some median work that we're gonna either build or fix that we took out that was existing, and then some illumination that we'll have to finish in there as well. Hillcrest Road, it's pretty much complete. There's a little bit of work that we have left to do in McCollum. We're just waiting for Encore to put power to the permanent McCollum traffic signals. So once they do that, there's a little bit of sidewalk we have left to do. But we are working to get those lane closures picked up. We picked up McCollum, the eastbound McCollum closures today. We expect to pick up the northbound Hillcrest lane closure tomorrow, and then depending on what we get from the vendor, we're probably going to get southbound most likely by Saturday. Now, just to speak to that, there are going to be miscellaneous closures that we will have over the next couple months. There's still some railing that we have on the western side of Hillcrest, that's why it's closed right now. And then as you go further south by Westerway to McCamey, there's some landscaping that we have to do. So we'll have some inside line closures while we do that work as well. And then Pump House, the site's finished out, but the city of Dallas is working to build the pump house, the actual house to the pump station. Here is a view looking northbound from Westerway, Hillcrest on the eastern side for the sidewalk that is currently open. Knoll Trail Station, this one's looking pretty good. We've got most of the landscaping complete. Crossing work is mostly complete. We're installing fencing in the area. Sidewalks are 100% complete, so we're working to get that done, get it cleaned up, and get out of there. Here's a picture up close of the Knoll Trail Station platform. And then another view with some of the landscaping and the approach from Knoll to the station itself. Dallas North Tollway, again, mostly complete. There's still, we finished all the sidewalk. We've got a little bit of fencing work left to do in there, and then general cleanup. There is, the crossing itself is a little rough right now, and so we do have plans to get that fixed. I just haven't had a chance to do it yet, but it will be done sometime this summer. Cypress Water Station, I know it's not near the area here, but it is technically in Dallas. So this is over by Coppell. This station is for the most part complete, a little bit of electrical work left to do, ticketing machine, stuff like that, but again, mostly complete, yeah. And then up close of the station itself, station platform itself.
So as we went through all the stations, a little bit guys, because I'm sure they'll have questions. As we talk about the stations themselves, the parking typically comes up. So as you kind of saw, like on the Cypress Water Station, they have ample parking. So we have ample parking at all the stations other than Knoll Trail. Let me backtrack there so you can see. So this station being tucked in between an apartment complex and office building. So we do have access to that parking deck on the garage. But the parking that is available will be handicapped only. So this will be a station where it's basically drop people off and then move on your way. So but for the most part, all the other stations do have parking available. Our focus right now is getting the project open and ready for service. We are looking at different measures to implement long-term parking. So once we have that in place, we'll definitely share that information with the You can kind of see here, overall, it's a 60-minute ride from the easternmost station at Shiloh Road, all the way to DFW Airport, Terminal B. The closest stations here to our location where we are right now would be UT Dallas, so there's going to be 200 parking spots there. It's about a 44-minute ride to the airport. From Knoll Trail, it's about 35 minutes, and then Addison, which is about the midway point, we got 300 spaces, and you're looking at roughly about a half hour to get from there to DFW Airport. All right, so again, we've covered kind of overall plans for the project and construction. I'm sure there's questions. What can we address for you?
Please raise your hand.
Hold on.
On the hike and bike trail, will there be water available and restrooms?
We're not putting that infrastructure in, but the trails, once it's complete, that'll be managed by the city.
Could you go back to the picture of the UTV parking and how do you get there?
So yeah, it's from the water view. So there's two water views. There's water view on the bottom side of the page. That one goes north-south, and then it curves around.
So, don't water.
So yeah,
It's also off the photo to the left.
water view is going to be on the left side of the page.
Shift up over here.
So you can see two roads that lead towards water view on the left side of the page.
So water view is over there.
Correct.
That's north.
What's north?
Left of the page is north.
Left of the page is
So yeah, you correct. That's right.
I gotta figure this out. Okay. Somehow off the water view, you get back there. Yeah, that's not, okay.
So basically, where the top of the parking lot, that road is eventually going to go. So yeah, so Waterview is basically where the white border would be on the other side of the streets to the left of the photo.
Well, then what street's coming in? If that's water view over here, what's
The one that's just, right there is Rutherford Road. In the future, it'll be expanded out.
This is a new road here that's on the bottom of the page. It'll connect up to Waterview and into the campus. These other two roads just serve the station itself. So buses will come in the center of the road, circulate through, and then actually come back out because that's where the median opening is. Or vehicles can go out on the topmost road and turn right onto Waterview.
And that's synergy.
So this is Rutherford Road, and this is this
That is just synergy road around there. You on the bottom right there.
So it's between Frankfurt and Brentford. If you're going north
Yes, ma'am.
on Waterview, Frankfurt's here, Brenner's here, and there are cut-throughs off the Waterview. Yes, off to the west.
Yes, ma'am. And we'll have signs on the main roads basically directing you to where the station is. Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I know you're running the trains now on a limited basis. It seems to me like you would have had all those barriers installed by then. When are you planning to have them installed? That's really a dangerous thing with those trains running across and no barriers or anything.
I'm not sure what barriers you're referring to.
Well, the gates that come down.
All the gates are installed.
Yeah, but you're not using them, are you?
Yes, sir.
Really?
We're in the process of testing, so as the train comes down, the arms come down as well, and you hear the crossing bells and the light signals. If for some instance we're testing something, we should have a flagger present to where they're managing the traffic come through. Yes, sir.
On the old road station, how far is that from the Galleria Shopping Center?
It's north of a rapid.
Knoll Trail, yeah, I would say from Galleria, if you're going on the tollway, it's probably about 2 to 3 miles. But remember, there's no parking there. Yes, sir.
So as I understand that this weekend, all of the cones will be open and will be 2 lanes going north and 2 lanes going south on Hillcrest. Is that right?
That's the plan.
And so, will the stoplights be working since they're right there? I'm not sure why I understand that they would still be flashing, because when you've got 4 lanes moving back and forth, it's a mess trying to get through traffic like that with a flashing red light rather than just using the stoplights.
Yeah, understood. And that is controlled by the city, so we will have those conversations and let them know that we're planning to open them and let them know that they can fully put those on fully operational.
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to let the city know? Why wouldn't they know that already? Why are you waiting?
I don't have an answer to that, unfortunately. I mean, they know that they've had an opportunity to turn on fully operational. I mean, it has the capacity to do that. It's just they've decided to keep it flashing red. Yeah, and part of it too.
Still closed, right? And part of it was you can't blame the city. You haven't opened the 4 lanes promised in January.
Yeah, part of it was too, we had a lot of crews down there working, intended to kind of slow traffic down instead of having just green light where people would just flow through there. So while we're down there,
Can you use mics?
our people safety as well too.
Say that. Part of the reason we kept the lights flashing is because we had a lot of people down there still. It was a safety concern for us. We wanted traffic to stop and then go with that instead of just getting a green light and blowing through the traffic zones that we had down there. So that was the big concern for safety for our folks that were working out there. That's why initially we said we wanted to keep everything flashing at the time.
More questions? Okay, we have one right here. Yes, sir.
So, I am a resident of Frisco, and when we go to the airport, we have to pay a lot for parking. So that is one concern in traffic too. So the Silver Line would help us get to the airport without having to deal with traffic. But how would the long-term parking process go? Would it be paid or would it be a communication thing? How would that work?
Again, like I said earlier, our focus right now is on opening up for service. We're looking at different measures applied by different transit agencies. We haven't picked one out, and once we have something, we'll share it with the community. Any other questions?
Here you go, sir.
I think you covered this, but I didn't hear it. When do you expect to have all lanes open on Coit, going north and south?
By October, middle of October.
On the Coit, is there going to be a sidewalk over that overpass now that's going to be over the tracks?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, there is currently one open on the east side. We actually just finished pouring the one on the west side. So here in the next couple weeks, we should open that.
Okay, so you said pavement on Coit mid-August, but all lanes not open until mid-October?
Correct, because there's still some median work we have to do to either restore what was existing that we used to move traffic around, or just install the new stuff. And then within those medians is also some illumination holes and foundation we put in.
And the pavement on Sugarcane?
All pavement should be complete by the end of August. So Coit and Sugarcane. But there will be some traffic will be on the correct side of Sugarcane, whether you're entering or exiting. But we'll still need lane closures while we're putting the stone facade on the pedals. And just landscaping in general.
So when do you think lanes on Sugarcane will be open?
Should be by end of August.
And then for the last change on Sugarcane, which was a very major change, the actual intersection where Sugarcane hits Coit moved, right? Because we went away from that hairpin driveway to actually using the light, using half the lanes on Sugarcane. Why was no notification sent out the way all of your other traffic management plans have, notified residents when there was a significant change?
I was under the impression we did. I know I'm pretty sure I sent you the traffic plan and all that, but I'd have to see if our team had sent that out. But I mean, we should have. If we didn't, I apologize.
Yeah, we didn't get anything written for that, and it's only because you and I communicate, but I don't think I, as a private citizen, should be responsible for...
Absolutely, I definitely don't expect you to disperse that to the people in your neighborhood.
Okay, and then going back to testing, so quiet zones, we understand you do work with the city, with other, government about that, but what is the approximate expectation right now in terms of timeline of how long will people be hearing horns until a quiet zone might be established?
So we have done everything on our end, and the city's done everything on their end. We're waiting for FRA clearance, and that should happen before the end of July, if not sooner.
And then is that pretty much immediate at that point, or are there still extra steps before it?
No. Once the FRA gives us clearance, that means all the basic installations we've done to make it a quiet zone, so all the additional safety measures have been approved. So that means the quiet zone will be in effect. So you won't hear the train horn unless there's something impeding its passage moving forward. I can segue into testing if y'all like, if you're going to have questions. Yes, sir.
Just a quick one. Why did they run the horn so much? I mean, they tested it. It works. And it works all day and all night, and I'd have thought.
So, that question comes up a lot, and I'll be honest with you, safety is paramount in everything we do. So, I know you think, okay, you sounded the horn once as you're approaching, that's probably good enough, but these are tracks that haven't been used in quite some time. So we want to err on the side of caution, and that is the standard that we need to apply from the FRA. So as we come through, we're doing that, and we're being as safe as we can to ensure pedestrians and motorists are aware that the train is approaching. And then to the gentleman's question right here, we're also doing that because in some instances we're checking the crossing arms, and they may be down too long, or they may come up a little bit, or the lights may not be flashing as long as they need to. So as we do testing, we're not just testing everything on the train, we're testing everything along the track alignment, whether that's crossing arms, whether that's crossing bells, lights, the timing mechanisms of how long they're down. So, everything is basically done for a safety purpose, because the last thing we want to do is make sure we have a mishap because we didn't, sound the horn, or we weren't having someone there, monitoring the crossing arms or the crossing engine. Yes, sir.
There is a crossing on Dickerson, and there are two schools right there. While the arms come down, is there going to be a crossing guard or something like that to keep middle school kids from going, I bet I can beat the train across the car?
Crossing guards are determined by the school district themselves. So I can tell you that we have had conversations with any school that's probably within a half mile of the rail alignment, and we are going back before we open up for service. So we've already reached out to campuses before the school year ended to try to go back in the fall before we open up before the end of the year. So they're aware that we're opening up for service, and then we'll notify basically every school and have individual conversations with staff and students. Yes, ma'am.
Has it been established, once you have the quiet zones, how far with the quiet zones in effect, how far away we should not be able to hear it? If we're 3 blocks from it, 5 blocks from it, at what point should we not hear that?
The quiet zones are, as it says, a zone, and it's as it approaches, it's like a half mile from the cross. There are a few places where they won't blow their horn. One at a industrial area in Coppell and the DFW airport, but for the most part, anything that's in a residential neighborhood, they won't be blowing the horn.
Ma'am, I'll take your question. I got you, ma'am. A lot of the questions keep coming about testing. Let me run through the rest of the presentation and we'll come back to you and start with you. Appreciate you. I may answer it. That's why I said I have a question right here. Let's run through it. Yeah. We'll start with her. Hold on, Ruben. Let me run through the presentation.
I've got one more construction / maintenance question. Yeah, cut off. Cut off, I'll be Marius.
I'm not sure if this is construction or maintenance. Should I? Oh, incidentally, is there anybody here from the city of Dallas tonight? Any representatives? I'm from the government. No. Okay. My neighborhood's along White Rock Creek, and most of the construction is finished there. We noticed over the course of a couple of days, all of the plants and weeds and things that have been growing all along the drainage area that also drains into White Rock Creek, they all died. They all turned yellow, dried up, and died. So what is DART doing from a maintenance, from weeds management? Are they spraying things? Are they spraying poison? Can you talk about that a little bit?
I'll let Trey Walker, our VP of Capital Programs, address that.
Hey, just since we've owned the Guideway for 25 years or so, we'll continue to. Can you hear me now? Sorry. Just so we've owned the Guideway for since 1993, I believe, we'll continue to maintain, our property along the full Guideway. We are in a transition right now between being maintained by our design build contractor and being maintained by our operations team. So we have been doing some mowing and cutting through the area. I'm not certain about the instance that you're talking about, but in general, we are maintaining and we'll be doing seasonal mowing, making sure the property is well kept along our entire Guideway.
Just follow up there. Yeah.
Did you cut yours off?
Sorry. Just as a follow-up then, from ongoing maintenance, do you only mow, or do you use chemicals for weed management along?
I believe they do spray as well.
So where is this information available? Was it included in any of the original studies? Or even how would one find out what kind of chemicals are being used? And the reason I'm asking is White Rock Creek is running all along that area, and there's been new drainage conduits that are taking the water all along the wall that drain right into the creek. And that seems to be a significant concern for a lot of the folks that are living in that area. So how do we find out more about that?
We can provide a follow-up.
How will you do that?
Written.
Email?
Yeah. We'll do a Q&A. We'll do our FAQs just like what we do, or our Q&A after some folks meet. We'll follow up on it.
So Marty, you going to continue the presentation? Before we continue, is there any more construction questions? All right. I promise I'll have a few slides and we'll get back to answering your questions. So, question typically comes up is where the vehicle is going to be housed and maintained. We worked with the City of Plano to secure a site at 3201 Technology Drive. So DART purchased a building, and we are currently in the process of developing the area behind it, which is already rail guideway. So that's where the Silverline Equipment Maintenance Facility will be housed. The facility, we're in the process of building 2 new buildings, as we're going to wash and maintain them. We're going to put in a canopy structure for fuel dispensing and then an underground fuel tank. There'll also be a storage yard where they'll be housed when they're not in service. So this is really key for us because this gives us direct access to the total alignment. So the EMF is, if I had to venture to guess, around 300 to 400 feet from the shallow road station. So again, you have direct access from the maintenance area to the track highway. This is an older photo. We've done substantial progress since then, but the circle area is the building, and you can kind of see there along the guideway where we're building the buildings. So the train, you can see on the actual tracks, is being housed currently right there. If it pulls back a little bit closer to the station, there's a diversion where it can pick up on a new track that will guide it into the EMF area. The vehicles themselves, another question typically comes up. These are not like our light rail vehicles, so they're not electric powered with the catenary wire. These are diesel powered. They do have electric starters. They meet strict EPA standards, so for a train, it's about as green as you can get. We do have seating for 230 passengers. If you look at the photo on the right, you can see that there's multi-directional seating. Not all the areas will have that table mechanism, but there are seats that face forward, there are seats that face back, and there are float-down seats that face to the side. There's overhead storage, as you can see in the image. There's bike hooks throughout the cabin, and in one of the cabins, there's also a large luggage compartment where you can put like an electric bike and also large baggage, large boxes for those extensive trips. There's also going to be internal and external cameras inside and outside of the train. Those are going to be monitored by a dark PD. It's basically CCTV cameras, so that's how we'll monitor that. And these trains will also have a conductor, so we will have an engineer managing the train east and west, basically driving it, but we'll also have a conductor on board checking tickets and then assisting passengers with any questions or concerns they may have. And the conductor will be on there throughout the duration of the trip. So Silverline testing itself, several questions have come up. We did start end-to-end testing a few weeks ago, so it's underway. That means we're basically running, kind of like the map I showed you, we're running from the airport to Plano and back throughout the day. It's simulated service, so we're stopping at every station. We're acting like we're picking up passengers and dropping them off, even though we're actually not. As I said earlier, we're testing the entire system and crossings. So whenever we need flaggers, we will have them in place so they can manage traffic. There is no quiet zone observance while we're doing testing. We've kind of addressed some of the questions that have come up there, but if there's others, we can cover that. And the test runs will typically occur during the day, but there will be occasional night runs as we prepare to open. As we get closer to opening, you're going to hear the train probably more often. Again, not with the horn, because the quiet zones are going to come in effect, but it's going to simulate closer to what we're going to be running for service. And then talking about service, so this is our proposed daily service. Still pending final approval from the DART board, but we are looking at running trains from 4 a.m. to roughly 12:30. We don't have a set schedule yet, so that doesn't mean the train's going to leave DFW Airport at 4. It could leave at 4:05, 4:08, 4:21. Again, we're just still working through that. As we get ready to open, which we don't have a set date yet, but it will be before the end of the year, probably about 6 to 8 weeks beforehand, we'll release our actual schedule. So that said, we are looking at sometime in that 4 a.m. window having our first train depart from DFW Airport, and then our last one leaving roughly around that 12:30 window. Trains will run every 30 minutes during peak time, during weekdays. So those peak times are typically 6 to 9 a.m. and then roughly 4 to 7 a.m. Again, it's not going to be exact. That's kind of the estimate that we're giving you. All other times, the train will run once per hour, so every 60 minutes and on weekends. We do have the ability to adjust our train schedule for special event service. So for example, Boomtown's coming up next week. We've already had conversations with Addison about having additional train service for next year to help alleviate traffic, getting people in and out of the area. So we do have that capacity. Very similar to if you've ever taken our light rail system down to the American Airlines Center, for example, for a concert or a Mavericks game or a Stars game, we communicate with the AAC and typically have additional trains at the ready once the event ends to help usher people in and out of the area. So throughout the process, we've had consistent communication and community outreach. We provide construction, traffic, and project updates online. We have communications with each of our 7 cities, including Dallas. We've expanded our community presence, to the gentleman that asked a question regarding schools. We've done several presentations already at schools. Again, we're trying to cover all the schools that are anywhere near the rail hours. We want to make sure that everyone's aware that we got a train coming through. And as we get ready to open, we'll develop a communication plan with our cities to basically communicate more effectively with y'all. We want to make sure that you're getting the same information from us as you are from the city of Dallas and Richardson, etc. We do have a rail safety program, so this is a special certification program for our community relations team. As I mentioned, we go through this program. This is primarily focused on the schools, but we do this for adults as well. And as you can kind of see here from the example, it's available in multiple languages. We did go through a recent fare restructure. The fare restructure applies to the Silver Line as well. A typical question that comes up is, how much is it going to cost me to ride if I want to go from Plano to the airport or from Cypress Waters to the airport? It's going to be a $3 ticket. So we do offer discounts for veterans, seniors. We have folks from our community relations team that can kind of walk you through that if you want some more information on that individually once we're done. But it's basically a $3 ticket one way or a $6 all-day pass. But again, if you're traveling to the airport, you're looking at $6 to get you there, because $3 to the airport, and then another $3 once you get back from your destination. If you're going to use it for the day, you're looking at a $6 ticket. If you want to reach out to us and request a safety pop-up or a presentation, you can always reach out to us directly at silverline.org. That goes directly to myself and the Silverline team. If there's areas that need to be cleaned or there's vandalism involved, you can reach out to the hotline. It's the 972 number that's there. We've kind of covered this already, but basically the way that works is if you see something, you can report it to the hotline. You can also call 311. We work with the city of Dallas to ensure that those calls get funneled back to us once the concern is addressed to us. Typically, if it involves something along the tracks, if it's not something on the roadway, you need just give us a week or two, because it takes us a while. If it's something that we need to clean up or repair, we have to work to make sure that we're not running trains, to make sure, again, safety is paramount, keep our crews out of harm's way. If it's something along the roadway, we'll get back with you within 24 hours. Again, get with the AWH team and see what can be addressed, and we'll typically resolve that within a few days. If your home backs up onto the guideway, all the areas, again, there's lots of areas there near the guideway. We just ask that you don't enter there. A lot of this stuff, again, we're testing trains, we're still doing construction, and this is our property. So, again, stressing safety. And then again, anyone that's dumping trash on construction sites and property is subject to fines. If you see trash buildup or anything like that, again, use the hotline number or email us and let us know. Robert Sullivan is your community rep for this area, so I'm sure Robert will be by the door as you're on your way out. If you have questions for him regarding anything you see here that's not related to the Silver Line or DART in general. Okay, I know we have a question from a lady back here, and then a question up front.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I just was like 70 yards from Davenport crossing, and so later on the horns will stop.
Yes, so if you weren't here earlier, the quiet zone should be established before the end of July. So we're looking to try to get that done earlier. We're just waiting for party clearance. So this complete, I'm not saying you'll never hear the horn, but you'll only hear the horn if something is on or near the track that's impeding its progress through. So again, stressing safety. Yes, ma'am.
Continue on the noise issue. The horns won't sound, but do the gates climb every time they open and close?
Yes, ma'am. That's the crossing. That's the crossing noise.
We have 20 hours a day from, 20 to 30 to 40 trains. We hear gates.
Yes, so crossing bells are in place, and again, those are for safety.
The lower noise, can you get lower playing? Or does it playing as loud as most I hear?
So through this area, we've gone through and checked all the bells. They've been adjusted to the lowest measurement allowable. Again, stressing safety. So we've done that throughout the entire alignment. Hold on a minute.
Just a quick, while you're saying about, I was today on McCallum, and nobody was there. None of the people, the workers or anything was there, but the lights they were flashing and the gate was down. And there were cars there, a number, I was in a big truck, and the thing went up, and before the people were halfway through, it came down again. It missed it by this car. I haven't seen that the whole time. I mean, you guys have been very good, and there's been always been, but there was no one there. But this gate went 2/3 of the way up and came down, and just missed a car. So we all sat there and waited and thought, okay, then it did go up and it turned off, but there was no attendant or anything there, and this malfunctioned, I would say. So just to let you know, that's on McCallum.
Sorry. Thank you for that notification. We'll get with the engineering team. I'm just curious, were you able to hear where the lights still flashing and the bells were going off? Bells were not going off. Okay, thank you. We'll definitely take note of that. Yes, ma'am.
My last questions, I think. I have two questions. Well, you were talking about leaving, you were talking about leaving DFW, the last one approximately 12:30 a.m. So that means it's got to go through the neighborhoods again once it leaves. So basically it's going to be all night long? That's kind of my first question. If they're leaving at 12:30 DFW, they've got to come back, so it's not like they're going to end at that time. So I'd like to know if it's a 24-hour situation. And my final question, well, maybe final, is have y'all come up with a good number for ridership yet?
So regarding your question on service, so we're planning on running a 60 train limit. The schedule I gave you is basically, you are correct. So if the last train is leaving, let's say, the airport at 12:30, then once that train comes through, you wouldn't hear another one until the next one comes up that's getting ready to serve the 4 o'clock shift. So it's not a full 24-hour service. I'll turn it over to John for ridership.
As far as ridership, we've been working with North Central Texas Council of Governments. They've been delayed in adding transit to their updated model, and we wanted to have updated opening day ridership. So we're actually taking it out of their hands. We're running it on another model, but we won't have that yet for a few weeks.
What's the last one?
The last we did was when we did the environmental, and it was a long-range forecast, and that was about 15,000 a day, but it's advanced into the future. I don't know what the opening day will be yet.
So you're going to run this huge train, what kind of people will be on it? It only seems 200, you might be better one.
Do you have any other comments? Yes, sir.
So, 30 minutes frequency is dealable, but 60 minutes off peak, I feel that is a little too much. Say if you're traveling into DFW and you need to take a train to get to a meeting or get to your hotel. If you miss the train and have to wait an hour, at that point you'd be better taking rideshare. And I've seen that happen before. People were trying to take, for example, I've seen a story from my friend how he had to take Uber because he missed his tri-rail train and would have to wait an hour.
So it is an operating plan in place. As John said, we're running a new model. Just like we do with all of our systems, whether it's rail transfer or bus transfer, we'll continue to monitor and adjust as needed. If the budget allows. Yes, sir.
Are you going to be adjusting the number of trains by ridership, or are you just going to run the schedule?
Again, we're opening up with a 60 train schedule. Yeah, we're opening up with a 60 train schedule and we'll continue to monitor it.
So I noticed you're clearing some land by the Knoll crossing. What's the intended use for that?
I think that's about the trailhead.
So yeah, that's the city's trailhead connection. So again, the parking right now is free. If you're looking to use our service, if you're looking at overnight or long-term parking, we're studying measures right now that we'll implement later on.
Do we have any more questions on this side?
I have a frequency suggestion. Possibly 20-minute peak. 30 minutes is still okay though, and 40 minutes off peak.
Thank you. Any other questions in the gallery? Yes, sir.
I have a couple of questions. First, I live in Highland Springs, and as I understand it, with the trail, that's in phase 2. Is that correct? When do you envision completion of that area so you might be able to walk from Highland Springs to the train station north of the university?
That total phase 2 construction is looking to end by spring, summer of 27, but we're working in different phases. We have Brody in the back, so he can talk to you after we're done, and he probably has a better idea of where we're working and when. I just know the entire trail, that section will be completed by spring or summer of 27.
Well, for you all that are here at Highland Springs, we're also scheduling a town hall like we usually do for you guys as well. So the hike and bike trail expert as well for that.
And one more question. When do you envision that you will be operating fully serviced from the east side all the way to the airport?
So we can't operate in segments, so either it's all or nothing the way we open up. And we are looking to open before the end of the year. We don't have an exact date yet. As you've kind of seen with construction, there's several punch list items that we need to go through. We're looking to establish that hopefully in the next couple of months, a little bit sooner to announce that, hopefully before the end of the summer.
Any other questions?
All right, well, we don't have any more questions. We'll still hang out if you have questions that you may think of as you're on your way out. Like I said, we do have Brody in the back who can answer specific trail questions. So if you have specific questions about the trail, just come see me and pull Brody aside to get your questions addressed. Thank you for coming out tonight.